Well, thank you for being here. My name's Madiha. I'm the founder of Toronto Condo Investments, and I'll tell you a little bit about myself. So I've been in business for over 20 years. I started in pre-construction condo investing in real estate, and I've been working with the brokerage firms that did the sales and marketing of these condos. I've worked on several different projects across the city, and one of the most exciting ones was the Toronto Film Festival, the residences at the Ritz-Carlton. So I've seen Toronto's skyline grow, and I'm here to help you navigate through how to get started with pre-construction condo investing. Thank you to CentreCourt for hosting us today. And so the schedule for the day is we'll have an hour-long conversation. We'll talk about how to get started from a sales perspective, and then Shalini Karthikesan with CentreCourt will help us understand how to share some strategies on tips and tricks from the development perspective of how to look for projects that make sense for your investment goals. Okay. We also have our mortgage broker partners from TD Bank, Sean and Barthy in the back, so they can help you with the financing perspective of the talk today. Right, so we're going to start with understanding what is pre-construction condos. We'll talk about the market, what's going on in the current market with the interest rates and all market conditions. I see someone there. And we'll talk about the pre-construction process as well. So how do you get started with pre-construction investing, what the purchase process looks like, and how it differentiates with other real estate transactions as well. And we'll have Sean and Parthy talk about the mortgages and how the financing perspective works with this type of investment. And we'll open it to the floor for some question and answers again. Right, so what is pre-construction condo investing? So pre-construction is literally pre-construction. So when you're purchasing this, it's not built yet. So it's very different from a real estate transaction that you may be more familiar with, which is walking into a property where you can touch and feel it. Pre-construction is purchasing off of a floor plan. So it's not ready yet, it's going to be built in the future. You're walking into a presentation like this, looking at floor plans, so you've really got to envision what this will look like into the future. The project, depending on the project and the builder, taller buildings take longer to build, so you're probably looking at 3 to 5 or 6 years down the line for this product to be ready. We've also got something called an assignment that you can take this contract. The contract that you sign for pre-construction is actually between you, the buyer, and the builder, the seller. You have the option to sign the contract, so you can sell this contract to a new buyer prior to taking occupancy, but that doesn't happen until closer to the finishing stage when you're getting the keys to the condo. So like I said, 3 to 6 years into the future really depends on the product you're purchasing. Taller buildings take longer, so a high-rise of 50 stories may be around 6 years from today, so you've got to plan for this purchase, or a shorter building will take less amount of time, and really depends what stage of the pre-construction cycle you purchase at as well. Now, the biggest question we get is, what's the difference between resale and pre-construction? So most of you are probably familiar with the resale aspect of the transaction because you probably own your own home, or you've been worked with friends and families who own their own home. So you book an appointment, you walk into the property, you can touch and feel it, you get a sense of exactly the location, the type of, the size of the home. You can feel it, you're in there, and there's no guessing work. But with the resale transaction, you can your purchase cycle is quick. It's more immediate. So depending on the terms and conditions of your resale transaction, you can become homeowner if this is your home, or you can become an investor if this is your investment property within 30, 60, or 90 days. So you have to have the investment capital up front, and you also have to have the capacity to take on the mortgage for this type of transaction as well. This is very different than a pre-construction. Like we said, it's not ready yet. It's in the pre-construction phase. It won't be ready for another 3 to 6 years. So when you're buying off a floor plan within a community that's up and coming, you really have to have the vision of what this is going to look like in the future. And you have to imagine what that 600 square feet floor plan, for example, would look, or in this case, what the new town center, the city's new center will look like once it's ready. The cool part about pre-construction is the deposit structure. So it's extended, and it's depending on the builder. Your typical deposit structure is around 15 to 20% of your total purchase price. So your purchase price is your unit price plus parking plus locker. But you don't have to buy parking or locker. Should you choose to buy, your 20% that you have to come up with as a down payment is 20% of the total purchase price. Now, the rule of thumb usually is this is due in 18 months to 2 years' time. That varies by builder and project, but it gives you a chance to save up for this down payment. So that 20% is broken down into 4 5% installments. So let's say, for example, if we're purchasing today, your first installment will likely be due 30 days from today, and the next few installments will be 60, 90, 120 days. Really depends on the deposit structure and program that the builder has designed. But you see that you've got time to save up towards your next deposit payment. So it's different from that perspective, and a lot of investors like that because it gives you time to to save up for this deposit program. The other thing is the power of leverage here. You're only putting down 20% of the deposit payment, but your equity appreciation would be on 100% of the asset value. And we'll get more into that with the benefits. Now, the biggest difference between the pre-construction resale contract is the resale contract, which you may have experience with, is probably 7 pages long. It's a quick read, and your realtor writes up the contract for you. With pre-construction, the contract itself is over 50 pages long. It also is accompanied by the disclosure statements, which is probably another 100 pages long. But by no means are you expected to go and read all the documentation. You have to have a lawyer, one that's more experienced with pre-construction contracts that can help you read through this contract. So those are the biggest difference between those. Even with new construction contracts, when you're signing up, you have 10 days cooling off period, which means from the date you sign, you have 10 days to think about the contract, to think about your purchase. And within your 10 days, you have to get the lawyer review. Now, if you're working with our team, we'll facilitate that because we have a team of lawyers who are very well experienced in the pre-construction contract, and they look through the contract and they will summarize it for you so you know what to expect in terms of closing costs and if there's anything unusual in the contract. These are very standard contracts. Most builders have similar contracts, so a pre-construction lawyer knows how to read through these in a timely fashion. So you have all your answers and you feel comfortable with your 10-day cooling off period. Okay. The market outlook. Now, there's lots going on in the market right now. There is a lot of uncertainty with high interest rates, and you know, you're close to the holiday season, so you're going to be having a lot of dinner parties, and every family has a real estate expert. But it's really important for you to align yourself with experts who are actually doing work in the field, who are living and breathing real estate in the market every day. So from our perspective, yes, there's rising inflation and higher interest rates, but in the pre-construction world, the higher interest rates don't impact your decision in the immediate terms because the building's not built yet and you're not taking on a mortgage immediately like you would in the resale transaction. With us, the building's going to be ready in another 3 to 6 years, depending on the project. And as the big banks have forecasted, within the next year, the interest rates will be dropping. So the hope is these have stabilized by the time you're ready to take on a mortgage in year 6 or year 5, whatever the project closing is, right? You know, we've worked with a lot of first-time home buyers or even investors who are a little skeptical of the market and want to do the wait-and-see approach or waiting for the market to crash or for prices to come down. That's a tricky place to be in because you can never really time the market. And a market crash is highly unlikely because the Greater Toronto Area market has really strong fundamentals. If you're doing the wait-and-see approach, your money in the bank is actually, because of inflation, losing its purchase power. So if you're waiting to save up a down payment, it's hard to play catch-up because your money's losing purchase power and the prices are going up while you're waiting to get that down payment. So it's really hard to align the two to catch up. It's best to get into the market as soon as you can within your budget, what you can actually afford. And the argument about prices coming down, so it's hard. If you look around, the land costs have gone up, construction costs have gone up, labor costs have gone up. It's really hard for the builder to start reducing prices because their costs are so high. A builder's no place to build something if all other costs are high if they start bringing the prices down. And when you look at the supply and demand within the Greater Toronto Area, our fundamentals are strong and the demand is really, really high. So we have limited supply and high demand, which really keeps our pricing strong. And we've got a quote here by our CentreCourt. Housing is a basic human necessity. So we know we live in a country with high immigration, and everybody comes here to pursue a dream, to build a life, and they need a place to live. They're either purchasing their home or they're either looking to rent a home, but everybody needs a place to live. So the fundamentals that we talked about. Right. So I remember in my undergrad, my first year economics course, it was about Canada is a population growth story. That was a few years ago, and it still stays strong. It's all about population growth within Canada. Just last year alone, the government aggressively increased their immigration targets, and we had around 455,000 people come into the country. Typically, around half of them come to Ontario. And the reason for that is Ontario and GTA, the Greater Toronto Area, absorbs most of that 50%. The reason for that is Toronto, or the Greater Toronto Area, most people coming in have friends and family living here, but Toronto really is the economic hub, the engine of the market, of the country here. We've got the strong financial sector, one of the top financial sectors in North America. We've got free public health care. You've got great school systems. We also have some internationally ranked at the global scale university. We've got a strong health system in Canada as well. So these are all really attractive fundamentals for people to move their families and start life over here in Canada. International students is a strong market here because of our universities as well. We tend to underestimate the cities we live in, but on a global scale, Toronto ranks really high as an international cosmopolitan city, something like Hong Kong, New York, and London as well. So we're really popular in demand to grow. That was the demand side of the equation. So interesting, the government's got these aggressive targets for immigrants coming in, and we've got increased demand. But we're not talking about the supply side. The supply side remains really constrained still. So that's 32,000 new condo completions are expected for 2023 this year. That's not even close to meeting the demand for this product. So you can see when you talk about like limited supply and really increased and heightened demand, that doesn't make sense for the prices to come down. This is what makes the price growth strong in the Greater Toronto Area. And that's been the story for quite a few decades in Toronto. And that's what makes it a lucrative market for you to invest in, because the demand remains strong. So those are some of the real estate fundamentals that I went through. Again, international students is a big market. A lot of people come here and stay back after they've done their schooling because they're working toward their citizenship, for example. And they get their first jobs and look to create and build a life in Toronto, and they're all looking for a home as well. Now, benefits of buying pre-construction condos. So when I sit with my clients, we have deep conversations about what is your purpose? Why are you looking to invest in property? And I'm a big believer in investing with purpose. So I'll share my story, how I got started. My very first condo was out of, as soon as I completed my undergrad. I was working with a builder, I'd been doing this all through high school. I grew up knowing that this is something I want to do, but I also was a recent immigrant. So I saw my parents' story where we lived in countries where we weren't allowed to purchase homes, invest in homes, because our citizenship didn't allow that. So I knew as an immigrant, it was really important for my family to start investing in and feeling a sense of belonging by having a home to own. So I got into the market at the young age of 22, and that was important to me because that was laying roots and building generational wealth for myself and my future. Today, I've got 2 young kids, and my husband and I have a strategy of investing aggressively today. Because we follow the markets closely. At the rate the prices are going high, I don't think my kids are going to be able to afford when they grow up, and I don't think I can afford the place when they're all grown up, because our incomes really aren't matching the price growth within the GTA. So, we have these conversations with what is your purpose of getting into the market? And for me, it's been generational wealth and planning for retirement. So I'm a property owner, I'm an investor myself, I'm a landlord today, and the properties that I own, they're rented, and the tenants are paying down the mortgage. So another 20 years when I'm hopefully retired, that will be my rental income for my future. So for me, it's retirement plan and building something that my kids have assets for in the longer term. The other beauty about it, and I touched this on briefly, about the power of leverage. So with pre-construction, you're only putting down 20% of the purchase price, but your return on the equity that you're investing is actually 100% of the asset value. So if you're buying something for $500,000 today, you have to put down 20% over whatever the deposit program is. But when it's ready, if that $500,000 has grown to $600,000, for example, you've gained that equity on the 100% of the asset value, having only put down 20% on the $500,000. It's tricky. You cannot find that kind of return in other transactions, in other investment opportunities that you have. Because in the stock market, when you put in $1, you make money on that dollar. Right? So this is why it's been a really popular investment vehicle for a lot of investors within the Greater Toronto Area for many years now. So the pre-con process, it's a little different than a resale transaction. If you were to purchase today, we would sit down and talk about what is the goal, how much money do you have to invest, what's your buying capacity. It's highly recommended to work with a realtor who specializes in pre-construction condos, because the transaction looks so different from a resale condo. And also myself, I've been in business within pre-construction for many years. I have great relationships with builders. I've seen Toronto's skyline grow, and I can identify different growth nodes across the GTA. So there's lots of opportunities in up and coming neighborhoods that make really great investments. It's important to align yourself with a team, with lawyers or realtors who understand the market really, really well. We sit down, we work with your budget, we see what project suits within your budget. There's no shortage of projects to look into across the GTA, but not every project is a great investment for you. So we look at what your particular goals are, work within your budget, and then we'll find you something that works well and fits your goals. You submit a worksheet to the builder writes up the contract, you sign the agreement of purchase and sale. I meet with you, we get your deposit structure, drop it off at the sales center, and from the day you sign, your 10-day cooling off period starts. Those are 10 calendar days, including weekends and holidays, and those are the 10 days we'll do our due diligence, which includes the lawyer review of the contract as well. And you have to get a pre-approval. It's not a mortgage commitment. You're not taking on a mortgage, but you're getting pre-approved for a mortgage. You will take your contract to the mortgage broker, show them what you've signed up for, and they will validate your purchase. Right, and this is about qualifying yourself. So really having those conversations and understanding your purpose with investment. Why you're doing this, what is the longer term goal, to understand what your purchase power is, and we'll find something that meets your goals. Okay, I'm going to pass it on to Shalini Karthagason with CentreCourt, and Shalini will talk about the locations and.
Excellent. Thank you, Medea. So hi, everyone. My name is Shalini Karthagason. I'm the Senior Sales and Marketing Manager representing CentreCourt. Just a little bit about CentreCourt. We're one of the fastest growing, one of the most active developers in the GTA. And so what I really want to talk about, and the main purpose about this seminar, other than understanding your buying capacity in the pre-construction process, is also identifying what a good project is, what is a great location, as well as what separates different developers from the rest. So at CentreCourt, in our 13-year history, we have actually brought 21 projects to market, and every single project that we bring to market meets these 4 key principles that you see here. So we will always be close to major amenities and major institutions like universities, close to major employers, close to transit, whether that's the TTC, GO Train, any rapid transit. And we have unique opportunities that, again, set our projects apart from the rest. And it's really these 4 components that any great developer will look at when they are acquiring land or bringing a project to market, because this is what really sets the stage of the future rental market and the future resale market. So when you look at a project, it is important that you are picking the best location possible, because whether you are purchasing this for your own use or if you are planning on becoming a landlord, for instance, it is still an investment. We are also investors here, and we want to make sure that the locations we're investing in will have the highest amount of capital appreciation that we can take from. Now, very important is to look at a developer's track record, and it's very clear when we look at our phones, we turn on the news, we see a lot of headlines that actually show projects that are at a risk of being canceled, going into receivership, developers going bankrupt. It is a reality that we face today, and that is why you want to look at a developer's track record to see what have they actually sold, what have they built, how fast do they build? Have they ever canceled a project? Because that's really going to give you a better picture of their reputation on the ground floor. Again, what have other owners said about that developer? And you also want to look at who the developer is partnering with. So whether that's the marketing team, you also want to make sure that they're partnering with the best architects, the best contractors, because again, you are investing a lot of your money into this. And for some, this may be one of the biggest investments that you will ever make in your life. So it's important to align your hard-earned money with a reputable builder. Now, when we look at a project, so again, we want to consider the location. So where is the transit around there? Where are the economic activities that are going to spark new businesses, new residents to enter into that community? Because again, we want to look at where those future property values will go. We want to, again, pick the right developer that we're aligning with. And this is where you want to really work with a real estate expert like Medea to actually go into a full market analysis. So very important for you to understand the local market, and relying on Medea to show you what the current rental market is like and the resale values so that you can understand what the future has in store. Financial projections are also very important. So we know that in today's market, pricing is king. End pricing is where investors make the money because, again, there's more opportunity for that price to appreciate over time, especially as an area continues to grow and develop. So when you look at your financial projections, you will look at the price points, any potential carrying costs, as well as any ROIs, again, leaning on your realtor to help you guide. And of course, making sure that that project aligns with your personal investment goals and your needs. So whether you are looking to have this as your own primary residence, and again, looking at a closing date to make sure the timings line up, or maybe you are a landlord and you want to make sure that there's a strong rental market that will support that investment over time. Again, you want to make sure that it makes sense for you. And of course, evaluating potential risks. We know that in today's market, it is a slower market. And not every project is built the same. Not every project is selling as well as some others, and not every developer is the same. So we know that for a developer to obtain the construction financing to start building, they have to reach at least 70 to 75% sold in order to go to the bank to obtain their construction financing. I would say majority of the projects currently on the market are under 30% sold, which means it's going to take a lot longer for the developer to start construction and actually deliver these units to you. So very important to, again, look at any risks involved and make sure you are, again, picking the best projects and the best developers. Now, when we look at the truths about pre-construction, yes, the more that it costs to build, the higher the price. And this is exactly why we see downtown Toronto condo projects more expensive, but it's also why we see a new trend of developers moving outside of the core and developing in the suburbs because it's actually cheaper to build. But that's also why we can make very bold claims, like at Pickering City Centre, that we're the most affordable condos in the GTA. Okay? We also acknowledge that a new benchmark price is set with every new project that launches. So even bringing this back to Pickering City Centre, this is a 55-acre master plan community. We are going to see over 10 plus towers over the next decade. And by investing in that first phase or the first couple of towers, again, every new project that comes to market will be priced higher and higher and higher than the ones before it. And that's how you make money in pre-con. We also have to understand that pre-construction is a long-term game. So of course you have your right to assign, which is essentially flipping and selling that unit prior to it being complete. But we do know that investors that have been the most profitable over time are the ones who buy and hold. It is imperative to have the agreement of purchase and sale reviewed in your 10-day cooling period, but not with just any lawyer, a lawyer that specializes in pre-construction. And I'll also highlight in the next couple of slides exactly what a lawyer is going to have as their top priority. And using that lawyer is going to help you actually properly plan for the future so that there's no surprises come closing. And we also have to acknowledge that there's no running away from closing costs. So when we look at resale, for instance, closing costs can be anywhere from 1% to 2%. In pre-construction, it is significantly higher. It is around 5% to 8% of the purchase price. Again, there's no running away from this. But again, as we mentioned, once you're buying and holding, again, there is more to profit from this. There's more capital appreciation that you can take from this that will far exceed what you're actually putting out. And one of the biggest things that we see are buyers confusing HST with the HST rebate. So HST, which is your 13%, is included in the price, net of a residential rebate. Now, only if you are an investor or if it's an assignment will you have to pay this $24,000 rebate upfront at final closing. But once you have your 1-year lease in place, you would do your e-filing either with your accountant or your lawyer, and you would get back that rebate anywhere from 45 days to 90 days. There's also the Terry-on warranty, which is the new homeowner's warranty that provides the warranty off of the deposits before the unit is complete. So that's your protection, as well as warranty on the unit once it's complete, anywhere from 1 year, 2 year, and a 7-year plan, depending on what the coverage is. The most important thing that we want to mention to you is just as you would qualify and interview a realtor, you also want to do the same with a lawyer. So having a lawyer review the agreement and the condominium documents early is the most important thing. So there will be a couple red flags that you should look out for. Now, if a lawyer takes 5 days to review the agreement, that's a red flag. A lawyer who specializes in pre-construction will know immediately exactly what to look out for, and they will review all the documents early. They will also handle a large volume of pre-construction deals. So very important to ask your lawyers, how many pre-construction deals have you reviewed and how many have you closed in the last 6 months? As I mentioned, this is probably one of the biggest investments that you'll ever make, so very important for you to qualify your lawyer. They are also going to understand your needs, whether you are an investor or an end user, and they will know their numbers, again, so that you have security in knowing exactly what to expect come that 3 to 6 year closing period. The top priorities for a lawyer is to make sure that the property in the unit is covered by the Terry-on warranty. So again, making sure your deposits are safe and held in trust with the builder's lawyer. They will look at the track record for a developer. So understanding again, what has the developer built? What is their track record? Have they ever canceled a project? They will be able to do a full deep dive on the builder. They will make sure that your rights are protected. They will make sure you understand the closing costs and exactly what you're getting into in the pre-construction process. Now, when we talk about mortgages, especially today, we are also hyper-focused on the interest rates that we forget that having a mortgage is one of the biggest financial tools that we have access to. And for most people, I would say majority of people, it's actually the only way to achieve home ownership. So when we look at mortgages, again, in some countries, some people may have to come up with 100% of that down payment, and there's no mortgage to lean on. So the way that we should think about mortgages and reframe it is the ability to actually build equity, right? And take advantage of leverage and amplify your investment returns. And this last point here, we also see a lot of purchasers who have cash, who don't need a mortgage, but they will still elect to take out a mortgage because it will free up their capital or free up their money to invest elsewhere. So with that being said, I will pass it on to Sean and Parthy from TD to talk about the top do's and don'ts about mortgages.
Thank you so much for having us, guys. So just as it's extremely important to speak to an expert like Medea who knows the industry well, and just as it's extremely important to speak to a lawyer who knows the pre-construction process, it's also imperative to speak to a mortgage specialist who understands the pre-construction process. When it comes down to that last week before funding, it's going to look very similar to a resale where we have that set amount of mortgage that you require, and that part can be similar. But the process leading up to there, having that conversation about your down payment, that's kind of where the mortgage specialist comes in, and we want to tailor our advice to your particular scenario. Everyone's got their own individual setup. You might be buying this as an investment property and therefore would be heavily relying on the rental income that you would get from this property. You might be buying it for your home. You might already own a property and you might need to take some equity out of an existing property towards the down payment here. Everybody's got their own scenario. Again, don't expect to dive into anyone's specific stuff here, but we'll split off afterwards if you have particular questions. But that's pretty much where we come in, is just tailoring the advice to your particular setup. My name's Sean. I've been with TD for about 13 years and doing mortgages specifically for 6 or 7. Pass it off to my partner here, who will talk a little bit about some do's and don'ts when setting it up.
Hi everyone, my name is Parthy. I've been with the bank for many years, over 10 years to be exact. Mortgages about 8 years. So along with important facts that Sean just talked on, down payment, income obviously is important. Like Medea said, everything is growing exponentially, but income is still trying to get up there, right? So income is a key factor in obtaining a mortgage, obviously. So there's different streams of income. Like obviously, if you're business for self, we can use business income. We can use salaried income if you are like a parent, child tax. So we can get into different stream of incomes to obviously help obtain the mortgage. We're here to guide you guys, so there's no issues when it comes to closing. So we want to set you up for success. So we want to tell you, we want to point out the factors, like, you know, if you have like a high trade line usage, like credit card balances, loans, lines of credit. So we want to minimize that before closing. So we don't want to have any issues at closing, obviously, right? So just to give you an example, if you take out a car loan right before closing, and the car payment could be $800 a month, but the loan is only $25,000. But that can set you back $100,000 in terms of mortgage qualification. So we want to stay away from that, obviously, right? So we want to work with you guys. We want to guide you. TD has a great program if you're an investor, rental programs. We just onboarded the site, so we have good rates that we can cap you guys at for 3 years. You shouldn't be worried about rates going up. Obviously, we're also hoping everything comes down. And when it comes down, we're obviously going to give you the lower rate, not the higher at what you're fixed at. So Sean's going to touch up on the builder cap rates and interest forecasts. We don't want to go into too detailed about the interest rates because everyone's hoping to it comes down in the next few years. But yeah.
Yeah. So again, obviously it sounds like an easy formula. Your mortgage plus your down payment gets you up to your purchase price. That part's pretty straightforward, but sometimes it can be a little bit more complex when it comes to, I don't have my 20% down payment right now. That's the beauty of a pre-construction project, is that you've got 2 years and a designated deposit structure that you know when these deposits are going to be due. And we can work with you. Like for example, I think Parthy was as well. We were both doing financial advising before it was just mortgages. So we're comfortable with the savings. If it's factoring in RSPs, a new first home savings account that's just come out this year. There's tools at your disposal that you may not have thought about. We work with you to get to that point. Builder cap rate, as Parthy mentioned. Not every bank is able to offer that. We're happy that we're able to offer a 36-month capped rate. I've mentioned a couple times in presentations that that's usually a very shiny tool that we love to present because you have the safety net of the rates not going up. You still have that safety net right now, and of course that's available, but the idea is that the builder rate that we booked for you today, you probably won't even end up using that rate. The hope is that rates are significantly lower in 2 or 3 years before a project like this would close. And every single time that we get a note that rates are coming down, we would give you a shout and book you in at that new lower rate. So It's just a safety net to protect rates going higher. And another added bonus is that when you get your approval right now in 2023, it's firm, it's approved, we've got your rate held. There's absolutely no worry of needing to re-approve yourself in a year or two closer to the closing date. Some banks are not able to offer 36 months. They can give you a pre-approval right now, but you're going to need to do a more firm application closer to the date. And if anything's changed with employment, down payment, your situation, it can put you in a little bit of an anxious scenario. Interest rate forecast, again, we don't have a crystal ball, we can't know for sure, but the estimate by TD Economics and Bank of Canada is that into next year rates start coming back down to earth. And then by 2025, before a property or a project like this would close, instead of today's rates being 6 or 7%, we're really hoping and predicting it's going to be around the 3 to 4% range. Why is that such a benefit to you? I mean, obviously, less interest is better. We like that number. But also, you're buying into a project that's at today's market rate. And those interest rates, those high rates, are built in to the market as a whole. It's been a little bit slower this year because of how high rates are. So if you can buy in at these relatively low prices, but then in 2 or 3 years, interest rates are much lower, that just increases demand further, prices tend to come up, you kind of get the best of both worlds by buying in advance of your closing date. So yeah, we'll break off after if anyone has more specific scenario questions about your own income, setup, property you already own, rental income, we can dive into that after. Yeah, that's us, we'll be around.
Just one question.
Sure.
On the 36 month cap period. The cap.
Yeah.
36. What happens on the 34th month if the interest rate goes down?
Right up until the week that you close, if rates go down, you get the better lower rate anyways. Yeah. So we keep an eye on it. It's just kind of like a safety blanket. It protects you in case rates are going up any higher. And almost definitely throughout the next 36 months, we're going to be calling you every few months and say, hey, good news, rates are coming down, we'll rebook it again. Hey, good news, it's October now, they're going down again.
You rebook, say 24 months, you rebook it, you do it for 3 years, or you do it only for 1 year?
When we rebook that interest rate?
The period is 36 months, right?
Yeah, so good question. So the period that we're holding the rate for you is 36 months. If the rates go down and we're only 8 or 9 months away from closing now, we could change that if it's beneficial to be a 12-month or even a 6-month cap rate. So we're just going with the lowest available option, but it's important that that rate goes beyond your closing date. There's no point booking a 36-month if you're closing in 40.
Yeah, the closing date can change also.
Yeah, and these rates, the 36 months we're referring to is just how long we're holding the rate. You can do a 36-month builder cap rate that's a 1-year term. You can do a 5-year term. Yeah, you can do. The only thing you can't hold is variable because obviously it's going to change as the market does. Coming up, Mark.
Everyone, Mark Hazley here, sales consultant with CentreCourt, and we would be remiss to not talk about some great opportunities that we have here at CentreCourt. Let's start off with Kipling Station Condos. So this is a great opportunity, 50 stories, 552 suites located in the new downtown Etobicoke, which will have you just 2 minutes away from the Kipling Transit Hub, and you would have immediate access to the Kipling TTC station, Mississauga My Way bus service, as well as the GO train and buses that are located at Kipling Station, along with the express bus to and from Pearson International Airport. That'll get you there in 15 minutes. And what's great about this is similar to what Shalini had mentioned before about some of the principles you want to look into when you're looking for a AAA builder in AAA locations, is that this is an area which has an additional 50 towers that are being built in the area, over 13,000 new units. So as new projects and new launches happen, you'll see a new benchmark in the price. This is the first of many, but what makes it unique is that it's the closest to the Kipling Transit Hub. We have some great incentives that we're offering, including prices where we can take up to $75,000 off the price. Moving on to where we're standing right now, which is Pickering City Center. And this is a master plan community by CentreCourt, over 55 acres of land that we'll be looking to redevelop around this mall here, which is 700,000 square feet, over 180 shops for you to enjoy. And we have no intentions of changing anything but to improve the mall. We've identified this area as a great investment opportunity, both from an end user and from a rental opportunity, in the sense that there's a huge severe condo shortage in the Durham region. We know that this area is dominated by detached semis and towns. So the opportunity to buy affordable housing in the form of a condominium just steps away from this mall is a great opportunity. As I mentioned before, it's a 55-acre master plan community, all being developed by CentreCourt. And we are taking advantage of the assets that we have at our disposal, which would include this mall. And just 5 minutes away, you have immediate access to Durham Live, as well as Frenchman's Bay, just to name a few. Minutes away from the Go Pickering station, that'll get you to downtown Toronto in about 35 minutes, as well as a future Kingston Road BRT system, which will be 36 stops, 49 kilometers of rail land that will run from downtown Oshawa all the way to Scarborough Town Center. And this would follow the Pickering City Center investor blueprint, which is to buy in early, as we have our first 2 towers that are being built in a multi-phase, multi-tower, multi-block community. So the opportunity to buy now and watch as your investment grows as the other towers are being launched in the future is a great opportunity to do so. And price below market value. So you would talk to Medea, who can also talk about the market analysis, both from a pre-con, but also from a rarely spoken resale opportunity, where not for the longest time, anybody who was buying pre-con could compare the prices of the suites that are being offered in pre-con to the competitive prices in resale. Well, this is an opportunity for you to do so. And with the help of Medea and her expertise, she'll be more than welcome to assist you with that. Myself, Shalini, and Norris are the sales team here for CentreCourt, who would be glad to assist you and answer any questions that you might have after the seminar about the 2 wonderful opportunities that we offer here. Just to let you know that the first tower, despite the challenging market conditions, first tower we sold in 5 days, 95%. And the second tower, which we just immediately launched after that, is well on its way to achieving the same goal. So despite the conditions and the challenges that other developers are having during this time, it's a testament to where we are in terms of where we're selling, the prices that we offer, and who we are as a builder. So.
Great. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Thank you, sir.